Hi, I'm George Plumides.
And I'm Lori Zanino.
And welcome to Inspiring Charlotte. Today we have Lorraine Collins with Specialty Interior Design. Did I destroy it?
No, you did it right.
Okay. Lorraine's going to talk to us about rugs today. I worked with her for years when she was at Fazy Rugs in High Point and learned a ton about rugs from her. Welcome, Lorraine.
Well, thank you so much. You were always an easy study, too. George would catch on to something, and we just roll with it. It always worked.
Yeah, and it's so hard to get a conversation out of me, so Lori can attest.
Yes. Sometimes I gotta elbow him just to quiet. No. But I'm excited because since I'm newer to this business, just learning about rugs and being able to take that knowledge and pass it on to the customer, because a lot of times customers are very kind of in the clouds when it comes to rugs. Fabrics,
Absolutely.
they're good with, but rugs, they have a little harder time grasping, the contents of them, what's going to work in their home.
Sure.
So give us, first of all, this is an age-old question that George and I always talk about. Where do you start? Do you start from the rug and work your way up, or do you start with the furnishings and work your way down to the rug?
Well, of course, if you are in the rug industry, like a lot of us are, you start with the rug. I think it sets the tones for your textiles. It's
Agreed.
so much easier to pick out that big, beautiful floor piece, and then everything else pivots off of it. I always say start with what means the most to you or has the most pattern in the room. And it's, in my world, the rug.
Yeah.
One, what amazes me is people see a pattern rug and they go, oh, well, then everything has to be plain. No, it doesn't.
No.
And it's teaching people about scale, which you helped me with a lot. Like, you could have a larger scale on the floor and then a smaller scale print chair.
Right.
And people get freaked out about pattern pillows. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's okay. You can mix.
Yeah, they don't want to get out of their little box, their comfort zone.
Yeah.
But we always think of a room as a curation. So you have, of course, what's on the floor, the walls, the upholstery, all of the accessories. And so if you introduce that rug piece early on in the process, it makes more sense to them. I always tell sales associates especially, don't add it on the very end. They don't
Yeah.
get it. They're usually out
No.
of money, and so it doesn't get there.
And it's hard because a lot of customers use it as an afterthought.
They
like,
do.
oh, and I need a rug. Like, you're going through the process with them. What do you need? You're doing all the furnishings. You're doing the upholstery, the case goods. And then they turn
Absolutely.
around at the very, very end and, oh, by the way, I need a rug too. And now you're having to kind of start over a little bit in a sense.
Absolutely. One of the selling points is 97% of homes now have at least 90% hard surface. So they either have
Yes.
LVT or LVP. They have engineered hardwood, natural hardwood, or tile. If they have any hard surface, they need a rug on it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, and I love to start with the rug for me because it helps me, inspires me for the rest of the room.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, like I've used
Absolutely.
so many of your hand knots, which are some of my favorites.
Absolutely.
And they're just beautifully done. Tell us, like what's your favorite material to work with in a rug? Like, where do you go?
I have different favorites for different purposes. In my world, wool is bulletproof. Wool is a natural fiber, of course, and it has a wonderful coating on it of lanolin. And so lanolin serves like a wax protectant. So if you drop something on a 100% wool rug, you actually have some lag time. It's going to kind of lay there, so you can blot it up and clean it easily.
Yeah.
The only downfall to wool is you're only going to get so light and bright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're usually, unless it is worsted, wool will not shine. The only two things that shine are viscose and silk. So if you want glitz and glam and you want a little bling, you got to go viscose or silk.
Yeah.
But price point with silk is, astronomical
Astronomical, yeah.
compared to viscose.
Yeah.
Some of the technology is now coming to the forefront with polished polyester that really does emulate viscose and has a better cleaning
Yeah.
kind of staying power there.
Yeah, because we've experienced that with customers who've bought something that's got viscose in it. They come back and say, I spilled some water, I spilled a liquid on it, and
Yeah.
now it's got this weird kind of coloration to it.
Right. Viscose is a fibrous fiber. It's a piece of bamboo.
Yeah.
So
And we've got I don't know if anybody can see it, but we've got a beautiful visco rug here that's just gorgeous, and it's got a beautiful sheen, and it just it changes color when you walk around it.
It has
Yeah.
the way
dimension to it.
the pile is.
The orientation of it.
So when the bamboo is spun down, there's a term in the industry called denier, and it's the circumference around a piece of yarn. So viscose and silk have the same denier. It's a very small, fine fiber, so that's where you get this wonderful, intricate design, the highs and lows, the light reflection. So there's really nothing quite like it.
Yeah. So if they're looking to do a shiny, maybe put it in an area that's not high traffic. You're not going to have a lot of liquids around because that's where
bedroom,
Absolutely.
it's going to get
a
affected.
living room, more formal living room. Like, I have people come in, I want this in my kitchen. I'm like, no.
But a lot of times it's very interesting. I am always very vigilant on the front end and tell them what the deal is,
Yeah.
how do you have to clean it and care for it. If they want something that shines 90% of the time, they're still going to get it.
Yeah.
But you've done your due diligence and you've
Yeah.
educated them.
Yeah.
on what they
Exactly.
need to do.
It's all you can do. Educate,
Yeah.
educate. If they still don't understand, but I'm with you. I'm a wool.
Absolutely. Bulletproof.
I am a wool. I love a hand knotted rug. They add so much character, and they're so interesting. And I mean, I've got my own. I've got one from my parents that's at least 80, 90 years old, and I
yeah.
use it every day. And yeah, it wears out, but after 90 years, I would expect a little wear.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, rugs were initially woven to cover the huts, to cover dirt floors. It was never
Yeah.
done as a decorative piece. And
No.
so it was to keep dust down in your home or hut. And so they've evolved into very much a decorative piece for us.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why it's like art on the floor.
It is.
Exactly.
I tell everybody.
I know
just-
my budget doesn't sustain having, a hand knot rug.
Right.
But I know I actually did buy this one in a different colorway, and I love it. And it has a nice softness to it. And I know this one's is this one machine made or?
That is power loomed. So
Power
that is
loomed,
machine
okay.
made, yes.
Yeah. So what's the difference between like a power loomed or a machine? Is power loom considered machine made, or are there different types of?
It is considered, so construction starts with machine made, and those are usually vertical looms. Some are called face-to-face manufacturing, so you would actually have two rugs, like a rug sandwich, and they
Yeah.
come out of a vertical loom, and a knife blade goes through the middle, so if you open them up, they're book matched. Then you have loomed, which would be done on a flat table, so they're done horizontally.
Is this considered more of would you think a machine or a loomed or a?
This is a loomed rug. Yes.
Okay.
Loomed rugs tend to have a knotting pattern that's very, very symmetrical in
Yeah.
a straight
Okay.
line. Knotted rugs tend to be a little more sporadic.
Okay. And then hand tufted.
Hand tufted is made with a machine tufting gun. Many, many years ago, we did hand tufting all by hand. It is one knot that's tied through a vertical substrate, which is jute, and then a layer of latex glue is put on the back, and a layer of fabric is put on the back. So if you ever see a rug with fabric on the back, it is
Yeah.
a tufted rug. The big thing there is some people think thicker and bigger is better. It's a big, hardy, thick rug.
Yeah.
You cannot shoot steam through it. So that's always vigilant on that note, because people get, any kind of rug cleaning company in.
Yeah.
They shoot the steam in, the steam activates the latex, it separates from the back, so you kind of have a little mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I've had clients that have that. And then,
Right.
of course, my old time favorite, the hand knot. And this is the back of one of my favorites that we've done, the Batia collection from Fazy.
Absolutely.
What people don't understand, and I think this is because they see like a price of a power loomed or a machine made or
Yeah.
a tufted rug, and they're like, why is this so much more expensive? I'm like, one person sits down and knots each one of these threads.
Exactly as it said, hand knot.
knotted.
Yeah.
And it takes, like for an 8x10 with a certain knot density or count, it can take one individual probably 6 months
Yeah.
to fabricate it,
So
because they only do like
one rug.
Yeah, they do a few lines a day. It's very,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about a knotted rug is if you ever see someone do it, it's on a vertical loom. They're pulling out these threads that are probably about 3 feet long. So their bottom row looks like a woolly dog.
Yeah.
And when they get it to a certain point, the shearer will come around. It's not the same person as the weaver, and he will shear it down, and then the pattern emerges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found it really interesting. Like some of these patterns, these are more production rugs, meaning there'll be a run of so many in
Right.
this size or this colorway. But I remember back when you and I were selecting for a client of mine in Utah, and we were looking at some of the one of a kind hand knots, and
Yes.
how like you told me that like some of the patterns aren't even written down on some of the finer old knots.
They're not. It's very time treasured. There were certain patterns that had to be chanted. And so
Oh,
someone
wow.
would sit there and chant the pattern, and they were to never be written down. They're trying to preserve the craft.
Yeah.
And educate these young weavers because it is a dying art.
Yeah.
And if you don't go in there and really give them an incentive and a love for the craft.
Yeah.
Now, the countries of origin for some of these rugs,
Yes.
tell us about that. Like, where are most of these rugs made?
You had a lot of stuff out of India, Pakistan. We did get a lot of beautiful pieces before the earthquake in Nepal. Nepalese rugs were very time honored. Most of our one-of-a-kinds were probably Indian and Pakistan.
Yeah. And they have some beautiful.
And Pakistani rugs are probably some of the most revered. Their techniques are very, very precise. Their patterning is usually much more intricate. And you can look a Pakistani rug and you can see it's definitely
Yeah.
a work of art.
So how do you decide what size rug to use?
It depends on what your room is. So if you're doing a seating space, if you're doing a sofa minimum, it's got to be an 8x10.
Yeah.
5x7s are postage stamps. And
That
Yeah.
drives me insane.
It makes me
Well, I don't like it when they pull it out from the sofa and there's like a little strip of floor
Yeah, it
right in
doesn't
front of the
make
sofa.
sense.
It does not look good.
Well, I was having this conversation with my friends last night who are in real estate, and we were talking about what kills me because in the $2, $3, $4 million price point, even in the low end,
Oh, absolutely.
the lower end like 350, 400, 500. These stagers are coming in now and just sticking a little tiny rug in, and that's what people think it's supposed to look like. And this is the kind of furniture you're supposed to have in this house. And I'm like, I'm not bashing staging. I think it's wonderful
Right.
because it actually shows people how to live in a house. But I just think that people get used, they see what's in the house and they kind of buy it thinking it's cool. and-
Unoriginal thought. They're just
Yeah.
seeing
They
and
They
they
see
go,
it.
oh, I like that. I'm
and
going to
then
do
you
that.
try to explain that rug's too small, and they're like, "But that's what was there when I looked at the house, and it was fine." And I'm like, "No." But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
With hard surface, they're there to define a space. So you walk into many homes now, you walk into the foyer, you're dumped into 4 spaces. So foyer, open to dining room, open to great room, open to an office. So with hard surfaces, you want to warm it up, you want to bring color and a pattern into it, and you also want to define the space.
Yeah.
Do you
And
like to? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you? I kind of have a rule of thumb with a room when I'm looking at a room size. I like to keep anywhere from around 18 inches if it's hardwoods exposed, kind of all the way around. So
Agree,
that
yes.
I like a room not to fill a rug to not fill a room, but leave some of the beautiful because you spend all that money on the hardwoods.
You want to
And
see
You
them.
still
wanna
want to
see
see
them.
them, so we
Yeah.
don't want to cover it up.
And some people just don't know enough to do that. You don't want to get a rug too small or one too large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a customer the other day came in looking for a 12 by 15. There wasn't one in the style that they wanted, so we did a 10 by 14. And I explained to them, you don't have to pull that rug all the way to the back of the sofa.
No.
Just make sure the front legs are on it, make sure the legs of your chairs are on it, and make sure you do have a little bit of
Yeah.
space around
Well,
it.
bedrooms
and they
too.
agreed.
I see them pull them under the nightstands. I'm like, no.
No. You can
You're
pull them
losing all your real
forward.
estate
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah, put your rug in front of your nightstand because they think, oh, well, if I step off, I'm going to be right beside my nightstand. No, you don't.
No,
always hard
you
to
don't
do.
step off there.
Yeah, no.
Well, and also, if you've got a fairly large room in front of where your bed is, you want that rug to show a little bit
Absolutely.
in
Yeah,
front
you
of
do
the
wanna
bed.
see it.
Yeah.
And people, it's just mindsets, and a lot of times they don't spend the time to educate themselves, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no,
That's
that's
what we have to
you
do.
did. You taught me so much.
Oh,
That's what I love.
you're
Why I
kind.
love working with you.
And I'm
because-
learning from this one.
Yeah.
So.
But you taught me so much. And like, I always loved rugs. I just, for me, it was, you taught me to be more intentional with a rug and not just add a rug and make sure it was the
Yes.
right fit and the right look and the right construction. And that was that. Thank you for all of that.
You're so welcome. That makes me feel really good about the industry as a whole is a fascinating industry, and a part of anything in anybody's furnishings these days, I think they want to know the history. They want to know the story.
Yep.
How it got here, what's it all about. And if you educate them, it's like if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And I would see so many clients that are like, we're not going to do a rug. And I always kept just getting it into the process. And then it becomes a component that cannot be lived without.
Exactly.
Well, I think those people, like I have friends that buy new houses and they're like, oh, I don't want a rug. Like, oh, it's so hard to keep up with. I don't
Right.
want. And I'm like, but when you're in the room and they realize, wow, it's really loud and cold with these hardwood
I was
floors.
just gonna say, it
you've
warms
got
the space.
You've got a stone fireplace, you've got drywall or plaster walls, you've got hardwood floors, and you've got a sofa and a couple of chairs, and it's so echoey and loud
It is definitely
and
that.
cold.
Yes.
Cold. Yeah, it warms up a room to have something on the floor. And also, it gives you something extra to look at too. You're not just
Absolutely.
looking at your sofa. You're not just looking at your furnishings. Your eyes are drawn down to the floor too. So it gives it like an extra piece of art.
That wonderful creation of all the fixtures and furnishings make it beautiful.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
it
just-
ties it all together.
Yeah, completely. I can. Yeah.
Well, can we talk about natural rugs a little bit?
Sure.
I know we don't have anything on here that's a natural,
Well, we
but
have
like
a natural look.
a natural look.
We have
But
a
sisal and
looks-
jute, what is your take on sisal? Because I do have a lot of customers coming in and they're doing very neutral tones and they're like, well, I just want to do a sisal or a jute rug.
Sisal and jute have their place. Natural fibers, we do a lot of that in coastal areas, but I always caution them again. Jute, especially, is a fragile fiber.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not great for kids and pets. It's
No.
just not. And if they want endurance and durability, they need to do like a synthetic sisal.
Yeah.
And this is a polypropylene, which is extruded plastic. And it's pretty much bulletproof. And it'll hold up and give you that look. But natural fibers,
Yeah.
in my world, we didn't do a lot of them because
Yeah.
they didn't serve the purpose.
Well, and they're not cleanable either. I had a customer
very
show me
difficult.
that she had her jute rug clean and I could see the fraying on the edges.
Well, not
And I
even
told her
that.
that's because it's a natural fiber.
It's very
Pets and
porous.
kids.
Yeah.
Pets and kids with jute and natural fiber.
They're
like,
going to pick it apart.
Exactly.
My kids called me one day because their dog went to the bathroom on one of their mother's rugs, and it was a jute, and I was like, you're going to have to get a spoon because that's the only way that's coming out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they
Yeah, it's a
literally
tough call.
The poor dog pooped on the rug, and they were literally spoon because you've got all this.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
that's
it's going in the
all the little
crevices.
fibers.
In the nooks and crannies.
I
Yeah.
was like, I said, good luck. Let me know how that works out for you because I don't have an
Yeah.
idea to tell you how to clean. I think you pretty much throw it away at that point. Like,
yeah.
And they're more disposable design. You hate to call it that, but they're not real.
but people use them as
Investment
stair
rugs.
runners, and I'm
I'm-
like,
I'm
I just don't. It's not. You can't walk on it bare. It's not comfortable to walk on.
it's rough.
not.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
and
not
learning
great for
about fabric fibers too, polyester does grab on. So to have something that maybe has a little bit of natural fiber, but it's also got the polypropylene or the polyester in it, it's
Yes.
going to grab a hold of those fibers a little easier and keep it from
Yeah.
fraying so much.
It does. It does.
Yeah, and I love you had another rug. Some we were talking about earlier, Beckett, before we started the podcast. You've got some other rugs that we worked with when you're in your phasey days that I
Yes.
loved. That they were just kind of a polypropylene. They looked like a durry almost, and they felt like
They
a
were
durry.
flat
And
weaves, and we would do a lot out of recycled water bottles. So
Yeah.
that's extruded plastic yarn, and they would do. You could get dimension from that as well. They could shrink it, and it had a lot of play in it. But one thing about it, it was totally encapsulated, so it was very,
Yeah.
very cleanable. And people's lifestyles are so busy.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a grandmother of 5. I don't want to be upset if somebody spills something. I want to be like, it's okay. We
Yeah.
just move on.
We
from
can
this.
clean it.
well,
Yeah.
and that's
It's a
what
rug.
like that life happens is. Well, I don't know whose ad that was. Life happens.
It
I can't
does,
remember
every
who-
day.
who it was, and I would be like, yeah, that's what like with rugs. And I tell people all the time when they're buying a rug and we're doing their room and they're like, oh, but it's wool. And it's going to be. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Absolutely.
It's you can do. Look, one of my favorite cleaning products in the world is Folex. I've used it.
You educated me about Folex.
What'd
He
you thi-
educated me about Foldex,
What
and
did
I
you
love
think?
it.
It works really
Yeah,
well.
it works really well.
Well, in our own business, we had an incident last week, and I told my business partner, Kayla, I'm like, with every rug, we are now sending a cleaning product that we
Yep.
recommend, and we know it will clean
Yeah.
the product properly because the first thing people do is they throw water at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like with viscose, the first thing it does is it swells and opens up.
Yep.
And it becomes mushy. In the industry, we call it blossoming. And it never dries back. It doesn't shrink back
Yep.
down. So the texture changes, the color changes, and you have a mess that's not fixable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I always recommend now after talking to him, Folex. I was like,
It's-
spot
it's-
clean it first, you
Yeah.
know, just to see
Yeah.
if
Well,
it's
always
gonna.
blot and like,
Yeah.
but I love what I loved about Folex is it's not super expensive. It's been around forever. It's water based. You
Yes.
don't need to soak anything with it. You just a little bit goes a long way. And just a
Exactly.
little squirt and a blot and work it a little bit, and it's amazing how it gets. And I've cleaned things out of my old rug that I've got at my parents. Like stains my brothers and I put in it, like
Oh,
when we
wow.
were kids. And I'll
Yeah.
look at it and go, let me just see what Folex will do to this. And it's not perfect.
Yes.
But compared to what the stain looked like when I started, it's 1,000 times better.
Well, a lot of times with 100% wool rug too, we always recommended also white vinegar and water equal parts in a spray bottle. And people are like adverse to the smell. Once it dries, it goes
doesn't
away.
smell
Vinegar
anymore,
dissipates. You
And
don't.
it doesn't leave a residue. A lot of cleaners, if you're not vigilant, it's like shampooing your hair and not getting the shampoo out. New
Yeah.
dirt sticks to the residue from a cleaning
Well, and you try to
solvent.
tell people, don't soak it. Don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of it. Like people come in with, we have a lot of these new fabrics, the inside out and all these super cleanable fabrics that we use. And people are like, oh, there's a big ring. I'm like, well, you obviously soaked it, which is the first thing I said, don't do.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
soak it. Like, and that's what I tell people with the rugs too, when they're cleaning a spot. I'm like, don't saturate it with water. It doesn't take that much to clean. And if you can catch it, like you said, especially with wool, the way it kind of just, the stain or spill will rest on top
It'll
before
lag
with the
there.
lanolin.
Yeah.
You've got enough time to go blot. And then just sometimes if you just get a damp cloth and just keep blotting,
Yes.
it'll come out.
We also recommend keeping a bag full of old white T-shirts. Do not use colored rags because the color will transfer sometimes.
Yeah.
So we've had those problems as well because that dye will take from the rag and it'll soil the rug.
Well, and I do tell people too, these are all vegetable dyes. Most of them they've already set them, but
Yeah.
some may not.
True. Very
Especially
true.
some of the older rugs. So you have to be careful with the vegetable dyes because they will run.
Yes,
I don't
they
care
will.
how expensive it is. You just have to be careful.
It's a beautiful look, but it's sort of a fragile construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still my favorite.
And what would you recommend for a customer who, let's say, they come in, they give you a certain budget, but they find a hand knot or, something hand tufted that maybe just a little out of their price range. Like, how would you position that to them?
Well, everybody has a magic number when it comes to a budget. And a lot of times they won't even tell you what it is. So
Yeah.
it's very hard to kind of navigate that because you want to direct them towards product that's reasonable for them. I always would give them good, better, best. And
Yeah.
at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it is their decision to make. But what I find so interesting is once they fall in love with something, that's what
It's
they're
hard
going
to get them off of it.
And there's a little bit more in that budget.
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing with the good, better, best. I think even though you give them some great options, the best is always the perfect one.
It is.
Yeah.
And they kind of get, because we've all done it. You
Yeah.
and I both, like we
No.
showed the good, better, best. Here's option A, here's option B, here's option C. But they go to option A, but it looks so good. The colors are
Yeah.
perfect. I'm like,
Yes.
and I keep, again, I say, you'll replace the furniture that sits on top of this before you'll replace the
Just
rug.
that. Yeah.
If it's cared for properly. And I also encourage people, if they can't afford their perfect rug, don't buy it right then.
Yeah.
Just
No.
wait.
Wait.
Because you're going to replace it eventually because you're not happy with it.
Right.
One I do like too now with hand knots, like some of the newer, larger knots, still give you the look and feel of a hand knot.
Yeah.
This, I think this is from Fazy. It's Karina. It's just a great product because it's a larger, looser, more relaxed knot, but still gives you the look and feel of a hand knot. At
It
probably
does.
Yeah.
half the price of a traditional hand knot, or even
Sometimes
less.
a lot more than that because it is, like you said, it's bigger and wider and flatter. So you're getting all of that detail for a very good price point. And the durability's there as well.
Yeah, and they're just, and I tell people, let's go to like a larger knot.
Yeah.
It's, while it is less expensive, it's still a beautiful, beautiful look.
And
It's
you're
a
getting the
wonderful pattern.
color, you're getting the pattern without, spending what you would for the
Well, and I
hand
do love some of the
smaller hand
trends
knots.
in rugs, like that's the Dahlia Lux from Fazy down below. How they've taken traditional patterns
And
like
recolored them.
recolored them and made
Yes.
them
Yeah.
interesting and fun.
Well, color is back and big. We lived in a world of gray or grayish for 10 years, 9, 10
Yeah.
years. And of course, nobody thought color was coming back. Well, we're back to all the jewel tones, very saturated rooms, big color. And I think people are excited about it. I mean,
Yeah.
color's emotional.
Oh, I'm excited. Blues and greens and reds and burgundies and
Oh, yeah,
like
it's
you
just-
said, a lot of the jewel tones are coming back and people are really excited and wanting to incorporate those colors in their home, which
Yeah.
is
Well, and
fun
this-
for us.
This is a good way for those gray people or the off-white people that are
Yes.
afraid to introduce a ton of color into their room. Get a killer rug with some great color in it, and
Yes.
I'm a black and white. My whole house is black and white. Like my furniture,
That is so
sofas are
surprising. I
off
wouldn't
white,
think that of
black
you.
and white. But rugs,
Yes.
artwork, accessories, pillows. My bases stay neutral. Everything around it is color
Oh, I love
because
that.
I love to bring, and you can change a pillow and the whole look of the room, or like a
does.
great
Yeah.
rug on the floor with some life, like Killian from Fazy that they
Gorgeous
introduced.
rug.
Like,
Yeah.
I wish we could show pattern, but they're so patterned and they're
huge, big, bold pattern.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Like
Make a statement.
one day there will be a Killian in my living room replacing my parents' old rug. I just don't know when, but
It's a showstopper, that's for
it's
sure.
like, and all my friends look at me when I show them like, this is the rug I fell in love with. And they're like, that's not you. That's not your house. I'm like, yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
It
okay.
speaks to you, it's you.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
And I
If,
think
if you
people
can't
have a
get your
gut
mind
feeling.
off of it, if you walk away from it and you're still thinking about it, that's your rug.
And usually in the process, it's always so interesting. The first rug the clients pick out is the one they'll end up with.
Yeah.
If it's especially a hand knotted one of a kind piece, because it just gets in their brain, and we can show them 100 other pieces, and
They
not
still
gonna
go
be
back
happy.
to that one.
Well,
yeah.
and that's why I tell people about like one of a kinds too. Like, I mean, in this world, I'm sure we call it a one of a kind. I'm sure there's another one like it somewhere in the world, but for us, because this is all we have access to, this is our one of a kind. Because nothing's new anymore in design. There
No.
are very few new things. It's just something that's been redone
Yes.
But like a one of a kind to me, even these rugs that are production or part of a series, they're all just a little different.
Yeah,
The
they
dye
are.
lot could be a little different. The knot could be a little different. The weaver
True.
could change something so slight. Like, I mean, I see when I buy your rugs, when I bought the rugs from Fazy at Market, and we'd go and look and we'd find a pattern and they'd come in, they'd all be just a little.
different.
Slightly different.
And that's okay. To me, that makes it a one of a kind because no one's ever going to have one colored exactly like the one I have.
Well, the majority of our one-of-a-kinds inspired the collection pieces. So, it was always wonderful to go to Dallas and pick these pieces to be brought in for market. And we tried to cover the whole demographic
Yeah.
of the U.S. because the people in Colorado are not buying the rugs that the people in Charlotte are buying. And so opening your mind up to even things I didn't like educated me. But the majority of running line product was inspired from a one-of-a-kind piece.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
always fun because you'll go back to the stacking and go, that's what inspired this.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's when you showed me, when you brought like Killian first came in, you showed me the one of a kind that was off of, and it was like ridiculously expensive rug.
And you fell in love that day.
I did.
remember it.
I did.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, how do I get this? Where does it come from? And it's
Somebody
just,
has to have you. So-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll figure it out. One day I'll figure it out. Somebody will throw one away or there'll be a hole in
Right,
it and they'll be like,
right.
hey, I want to get rid of this rug. Okay. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. And I learned what really turned me onto rugs. I mean, I always grew up with them because my parents had them, but I'll never forget. And it was probably when I first got into this business 25 years ago. I was at Henredon, one of my favorite label brands
Oh,
that doesn't
yeah.
exist anymore, unfortunately. And they were doing collections for Ralph Lauren.
I
And-
remember that. Yes.
Yeah, we were in the Ralph Lauren showroom at Henredon in High Point Market, and they had this attic space that they did. Ralph Lauren took all their collections and mixed them into one huge loft. They did a whole loft, and they mixed all the different styles of furniture. And
wow.
on the floor, they had taken probably 100 rugs. Some had worn holes in them. Some were like hand knots. Some were machine made. Some
love
were
that.
antique patterns. And they just layered the room with all these rugs. And I fell in love. And I was like, I
What a fun concept.
love rugs. And so it kind of started me. I've got a couple of old rugs. I've got one that I've rolled out in my walk-in closet because I was like, and I can't get the whole thing down. So it's rolled up and tucked
you
under
go.
some
You
clothes.
figured it out.
But it's like one
Yeah.
of those old, like I found it at an antique store and it spoke to me. And is it perfect? No. Is it? But it's
speaks
such a
to you.
cool piece.
Yeah.
But that inspired me to like really get into rugs and learn. And then you taught me even more, which I love.
Well, you were eager to learn. A lot of sales staff and creatives are afraid of rugs. And
Yeah.
one thing I did early on in my career, even before Fazy, was if there was a product niche I did not know enough about, I was not going to be that girl in that room that didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So I would take learning days. If, I was an independent designer, if I had a light schedule, I would go to the carpet and flooring places. I would go
Yeah.
to the tile resources. So I needed to know what my clients needed to know. And I
Yeah.
wanted to be a resource and an asset to them.
And that's what I'm trying to do now,
Yes.
just being newer
And
to
it
this
takes
industry.
work and knowledge. You can't just pick it up overnight. It takes time.
Well,
Yeah.
the more you do it, it just becomes second nature. And you've already done so well with learning so much of the product line. But just basic construction. And I always said, find something that talks to you. Let people find something that sings to them. And then you can build that room around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
that's all we have for today. Thanks to Lorraine for joining us and inspiring us with rugs. I'm Lori Zanino.
And I'm George Plumides.
And subscribe and follow to Inspiring Charlotte. We'll see you next time.